Hi, welcome to this presentation of the Forgotten Chambers. My name is Tim Börrefors and I'm a level designer. Forgotten Chamber is a single-player Portal 2 map with puzzles based on speed and velocity. The map is made from the Portal 2's level creator and in the source hammer editor. In this video I'm gonna go through the pre-production and the work progress, talk about the flow and the changes made from the community feedback, and also some of the design choices I made. I started out in the Portal 2's own in-game level editor, blocking out the space and the basic puzzles. I choose to do so because the editor is quite limited, and that will let me focus on the basic design. What I always had in mind when I blocked out the area was that I wanted to give feedback immediately. So when the player did something, for example pushing buttons, he would see where to go next. I imported the map into the source hammer editor when I was done with the basic design, and started to change the aesthetics with new textures and models from Hammer's Portal 2 library, evolving the puzzle with the entities, and added some functional lighting focused on exposing where I wanted the player to go. The first section of my level is a corridor, where the player takes an alternative route that is heavy guarded with turrets. I also want to introduce the speed gel here, so the player would know how to use it later in the level. So the player starts from here, going through the corridor. The puzzle here is to get to the other side of the turrets. To do so, the player needs to spread the gel through the corridor using the tractor beam, run across and fly through the shaft. In this next area of the level, I wanted to make a puzzle based on climbing, so all the puzzles were made to progress upwards. Also to introduce the bounce gel and its ability. I wanted the player to first learn the both gels separately and then combine the powers to progress. The door the player flied through was from the beginning just a hole in the floor. The problem here was that if someone would fall down or drop the cube. I didn't want the player to be forced to go back, because that would mean that the player could die from the turrets guarding the shaft. So the solution I came up with was to place a gate that would close after the player flied through, and a fizzler field that cleared previous placed portals so the player couldn't get back and get stuck. What I wanted the player to focus on from this point was the white area on the floor, the higher platform, the blue gel dispenser and the white area on the pillar. I also added some lights to these areas to make them stand out. The puzzle here is to place a portal under the blue gel dispenser and paint the white floor space with gel. Then the player places a portal on the white space on the pillar and one on the ground. Then jump through the portal and bounce on the gel and land on the edge on the other side. From community feedback I realized that many players try to skip the use of the blue gel and use velocity instead to get over the ledge. So I resized this area on the pillar and made an alternative way to solve the puzzle. As for this next area, I also did some changes because it easily broke my level and the player solved the puzzle in a way it was not intended. The idea here from the beginning was to splash the white floorboards with the orange gel so it would be possible to run across the gap to get the cube. But instead the player used portals on the boards to get across, or just used them to fly up to a platform that wasn't supposed to be reached from this location. By placing a portal on a floorboard and one underneath, made it possible to use the velocity to reach the higher platform. So the solution I came up with was to change the floorboards so it wouldn't be possible to use portals on them. And then I placed the portal area on the wall instead, so the boards could still be splashed with the gel. The puzzle here is to first push the button that starts the orange gel dispenser. Place portals on these locations to soak the floorboards with the gel. Run across to get the cube and back to the cube button that turns the panels in front of the player. Place a portal on the panels and one on the lower ground. Then jump down and use velocity to get over to the higher platform. I added a platform under the panels so it would be possible to get a new chance to get over. without having to get up on the first ledge again. So the player needs to first place portals under the yell dispensers and then on the panels to soak the platform with the both yells. Then jump across and push the button that turns the panels under you. I placed the button in a way so it would be possible to notice what happens. Then it's just to place one portal under you and one on the panel. Jump down and bounce up to a higher platform. As for this next area, the player needs to reach the other side by first pushing the button that turns the panels over you and place portals on one of the panel and one underneath you. Then jump down and use the velocity to get over. As for the third section, I wanted to have a natural transition from a warehouse to an office, so I made an elevator shaft and a staircase room that has fallen apart. The things I focused on here was that it would be clear where the player should go and that it would be a fun transition. So the puzzle here is to place a portal on the board underneath you and one at the bottom of the room. Jump down and reach the open elevator door. Place a portal on the white board in the room and now the player can enter. An alternative way to solve this is when the player have reached the open elevator door and placed the portal, is to fall down and through the other portal. This lets the player reach the higher platform in the room without having to jump down again. In the last section, the player traverses through an office where I'm most focused on adding lights to guide the player. The other section is a room in the lobby where I focused on creating an interesting puzzle that fits the ending. In the next room I made a button time puzzle, so the player needs to reach the 2 buttons in a limited time. To solve this puzzle, the player needs to place a portal in the corner and one in the small office ceiling. Then push the button outside the office, fall through the portals and push the other button to open the door. Every light in this room have lit up all the things I wanted the player to focus on. The buttons, the corner and the exit. So in the last room there is an elevator to the surface that have collapsed, but there is a way to progress. The player have to place the portal on the broken ceiling over the cube statue and one on the big concrete block that has fallen to the ground. Then the player can see the exit on the top of the cube statue, jump through the portals, and that is the end of my map, Forgotten Chambers. There is a Steam workshop link below the video if you want to try to level out. And if you want to contact me about any questions, don't hesitate. You can reach me at contact@timbörrefors.se. Thanks for watching.